Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast. You're with me, Ron Tate, and with me is
Isobel Tate, your sidekick.
so thank you. I've always been telling people that, and I'm finally glad you've admitted to it.
Known my role.
And with us today, we have a very special guest.
And she is my sidekick.
I was going to say, I'll let you introduce her.
And that is Elizabeth.
Yes.
Welcome
Hi.
to the show, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Is it Batman and Robin Jr. then?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be.
I was going to say, how about you can be Batgirl?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I'll be back there. That's better than being, Robin. Sorry.
Yeah, Ron was always a bit of a.
Definitely.
And you're coming to us from sunny Canada.
Well, it hasn't been sunny lately because it's, this time of year, but overcast and grey. But yes, usually sunny.
And you've had like a sort of a bit of a dump lately. Like you've had a bit of a resurgence of winter, am I right?
Yes. Yeah, we just had a bit of snow last week and Banff and stuff got I think it was 2 foot of snow overnight.
Holy moly.
But I mean, obviously then it's sunshine and blue skies, so it just melts instantly. Some people from work went skiing and they described it as sludgy and soft.
Oh, gross.
So basically Australian snow conditions.
Yeah,
Yes,
really good winter here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're all skiing in bikinis and so excited about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's just Mount Buller.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. Well, we've had a bit of a resurgence of summer. It's going to be 28 degrees tomorrow.
Oh.
I know, right?
Yeah, just in time for our long run.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, we brought you on the podcast because we thought it'd be interesting for someone to come on to talk about Barkley Marathons from a sort of a bit more of an outsider perspective. Now, did you want to just I've sort of told it from my viewpoint on how you found out about Barkley, but then I realised our stories were a little bit different when we chatted.
Yes.
So did you want to give your version, which I'm not 100% sure is right, but whatever.
It might not be correct, but this is at least how I have always viewed it. So this is my version. So we would be driving home from primary school and kind of the consensus was if you fell asleep in the car, Mum would put a podcast on. Just she didn't like listening to music, so as soon as you fell asleep, she'd put a podcast on. And so that would happen. And I would have been in prep or year 1, so I'd have been 5 or 6 and fell asleep, and Mum started listening to this podcast, and I guess my ears just heard books and got excited and listened, and I just heard this story about this race that people run and they find books, and I was just like, that is the coolest race ever. Mum, you have to do it.
Yeah.
That is all I heard. I didn't hear anything else. I just went, wow, a book, a race about books, what could be better? It's books, because I'm 5.
Yes.
And then didn't really think much of it. It was just the book race in my mind for years. And then whenever you first applied for Barkley and you told me about it, you're like, oh yeah, it's that book race. I was like, oh cool. And then I Googled it and I was like, oh, what the fuck? This is not.
You don't get to sit down and read the books?
At all what I thought it was about. I'm like, the books is now the least of the worries in this race. I was like, the importance level of this book dropped massively. And that's how I learned about
I vaguely remember that. I don't remember that I'd turn podcasts on when you guys fell asleep.
Yeah, that would be the kind of, if you fell asleep in the car, you would put on a podcast.
It was probably to stop me falling asleep, to be fair.
I think it was. Because you were like, it keeps me engaged. And I'm like, the music keeps me engaged, so this is fair.
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair enough. I mean, I vaguely remember that. I mean, that's how I remember the story, but I just thought you were older.
No, I was very young. And I just remember that because I just remember I knew what the concept of a race was, and I knew that you ran around.
Yeah.
And I just went, wow, you're just going to be la-di-da-di-da in a nice field finding some books. I was like, it's the time of your life.
Yeah. Well, and then complete opposite.
Yeah.
So when it came to, me applying for Barkley, I said, would you like to be crew? And that was kind of the loose plan that we had, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this was your 3rd Barkley, so I'd been there for the first one, and kind of
you hadn't been at Barkley.
You'd done the beginning of the application of the first one, I was there, And so I
Yes,
helped
yes.
you with a few of the things. And so my brain started kind of going then a little bit of just like, I wonder what it would be like to be crew. And so then, yeah, when you were like, let's do it, I was like, let's do it. We're doing this. And
Yeah,
I
because
just
the first time I applied, Elizabeth and I were living together in Canada.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just
And
like,
I vaguely recall, like, after the last one, because after the 22 version, we
Yeah,
then went
to
to
Canada.
Canada where
Yeah.
We picked you up
we
from the
met you.
airport. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
there was discussion of, you know, if you do it again.
Yes.
I
oh,
wanna-
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wanna
I was kind of like,
go
sorry,
through.
Ron, if it's
Yeah.
happening again, you get in the boot, I'm going.
Backseat.
You've had your
Yeah.
turn. It's
Yeah.
now time for me.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it would have
that's the way
been,
I kind of remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
So, what was your impression upon arriving in camp?
I mean, it was kind of a whirlwind. I'd flown from Canada and got, that was my night of rest, and got picked up in the morning by two complete strangers.
Yes,
Just
I
knowing
know that.
two complete strangers in a van getting taken to a state forest.
Yeah.
Very
Nothing
excited.
dodgy.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I
And
was like,
to be
this will be
honest,
great.
I didn't know the strangers either, really.
No, and I was like, you know what, this is fine. I get in.
How
I get
So one of
text-
them was Keith Dunn, who does
Yeah.
the updates. He's the
Oh,
one
okay. I
who
didn't
does.
realize he was there
Yeah,
as
he's
well.
the one who does the updates on X for the race. So you were in rarefied
Yes.
air there,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh yes, it was a hell of a conversation we had on the way there. And I mean,
What
that was
about?
just like, just things, everything, anything, Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was a lot of human just talking, but it was just very interesting to listen to.
Good.
But it was an interesting drive, because I've never been to Tennessee before. Driving there and literally just like being in something of a city and just leaving and being in like the sticks.
Yes.
Just like immediately being in nothing, and then just driving through and literally driving past a prison. And just being like, wow, we're really here. And then we pulled up, and like the night before I watched the documentary, which I don't know was for the better or for the worse, because I really psyched myself out and got really anxious. I was sitting there and I was like, oh God, what have we signed up for? This is terrifying. We're gonna be able to do this all tomorrow. So it was like I finally pulled up and it was like, wow, we're here. And then I get out of the car and look for Mum's hair. And the next thing I know, I see her. And because I had no idea where you were, because you didn't have phone reception. There's no point. I couldn't contact you. So I had to
there's no way to contact me.
Gina just dropped me at the top of the campground and was like, all right, let's figure it out.
Go find your mum.
Yep, go find my mum. And then I found her, and it was just excitement and energy. It was really cool. It was just we were there.
Yeah, I know. I remember just seeing you. I was about to get interviewed for that Hiker Trash.
Oh, Hiker Trash, yeah.
Hiker Trash podcast. And he'd tried a few times, and I finally sat down, and then I'm like, oh, daughter, and he's like, oh crap. And I ran off going.
Yes, yeah, I remember that, because I remember as soon as I came in, it was just like, all right, hi. Stand here in silence for the next little bit whilst Mum does an interview.
Yeah, that's right.
And then she finishes and is like, how are you going?
Yeah. So, and then of course you saw the awesome accommodation.
Oh yes, very excited for my ginormous 5-star tent. I was living, it was like going into like, the tent from Harry Potter and Goblet of the Fire. Fans, you're just like, wow.
It's a 2-bedroom unit inside.
Yeah. And it's like Mum's got Hermione's bag as well for a suitcase. It's like you can't imagine how much can fit into it, and it's just piling out.
But no, just Hermione shit, I think.
There's so much stuff.
It was
She
funny when we were
bought
packing it,
clothes.
because we had fully expected to use 2 suitcases, and we just kept on being able to fit more and more and more into the
It's
suitcase.
amazing.
So we discarded one of the suitcases. It was quite incredible.
Oh God, I feel like you didn't even wear half or even
I didn't.
3/4 of the amount of stuff that you brought. Like you could really cut this down.
I know, but I tend to be a bit of an overpacker, and I know you know that.
Yes. Oh, I'm very well acquainted with what was in that bag.
And because my motto is better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it,
I mean, yes, that was fair. And you did have to bring a considerable amount of stuff with you.
Just in case, because I just did not know what the weather was going to do. Like I had to bring I had snow gloves, for the love of God,
I mean, it was fair enough. You didn't know what to expect, really.
No.
Like you could look at the weather and hope that would be somewhat accurate, but that was going to
It
be
generally
it.
wasn't. Whenever I've been, it's never been
No,
accurate.
and it might be accurate for the first day, but then after that,
Yeah.
all bets are off.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then we were in camp, and just talk a little bit maybe about the people that you met. What did you expect the other Barkley runners to be like? Did you expect them to be like super elite athletes that wouldn't talk to you, or what did you expect?
Well, I feel like I've had a bit of experience with crewing and meeting the people that you meet at these kinds of races and things like that. So, I mean, I was expecting to meet the people I would expect when I went to one of Mum's races, really, which is just, in the nicest way possible, a bunch of weird people. Everyone has their own quirks and curiosities, and that's the reason why they're there, but they're still very nice and lovely people. It's just they have their own little thing, and so everyone was a little bit...
obviously I was the only normal one there, right?
Clearly.
No.
Yeah. Oh.
You're also weird for going.
I'll take that as a compliment.
I'm glad, yes.
Take it however you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, and I'm a little bit weird because I was going as well. Like, that's just the kind of race that these things attract. And it's just, it was exciting to be there. And I was just like, oh my God, there's all these people that I've heard about, because obviously you've spoken about the races. But I mean, the first person I met would have been Kenny, who was just a bundle of joy and energy. And an amazing person. And it was just like, hello, random person I've never met. How's it going? And just creating an instant connection. And yeah, we were sharing kind of like a camping, what would typically be like a one person or one group campground spot, but we were sharing with 3 other people. So we met Kenny, who was staying in his van, and then Ole and his son, Marcus, who I thought could sleep a lot. I thought I could sleep a lot myself. That kid could sleep, like, truly. He slept
Marcus
more than
was
me.
the king of sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah, like that says something. And it was just like a lot of nerves, because it was all just kind of like, you don't know what's happening when, and we're all just kind of like buzzing. And I'm meeting all of these people and these faces, and, you know, the first few times I'm like, I don't remember who these people are. It's so many people I'm meeting, but like, you know, they're all shared around, and it was just really cool and exciting. And I was just happy to be there, and we did like a little tour and just started chatting to people in line, and we met Pierre and his race is Sebastian? Julian. Okay. Yes, I can never remember. And just started chatting to them in the line, and then he was kind of just across the ways, and so we would chat when you were during your race. You just met people by existing there, really. You'd start chatting in the toilets, like...
Yeah.
Well, you'd be in there in the women's, and someone's literally making a cup of tea, because there was a kettle.
They have a kettle and a power board and everything in the toilets.
Yeah. You could get like coffee and tea from the girls' toilets. You just met people by being there. So I'm sure I interacted with so many people there. It was just brief moments, and I never caught a name or whatever, but it was just it was. So what was your main role for me when we were there? It was your support, basically, and to be essentially the brains, because yours would go to mush, as I was saying. And that was my job, was to keep everything kind of together and on track, and just, you need to keep your legs moving and do nothing else. And I was the everything else of the equation, basically. I mean, I was in charge of doing the majority of the map, which was terrifying, I won't lie. I really psyched myself out the night before, going, you've got to get this like accurate, because if you like mess this up, like, she's fucked. Mama could end up in another state. Like, we don't know what's gonna happen, you've got to do this so accurate. Then I was just like really psyched myself out, but I was like, no, you got this, like, just attack it the way you always attack things, and you will get through it fine. So that was my big anxiety about the biggest thing I had to do, but otherwise it was just support you and feed you, basically. Yeah. And so, you know, you drew the basic map, and then I put in all the coordinates and notes that I needed. Although you did the coordinates too, because we would so you had to make 4 maps. And so you did. I did the initial plotting, and then you helped. My compass skills aren't actually now as good as yours, which is funny to say. But you did that, and then obviously we had to make 4 copies, so there was just rinse and repeat.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the rinse and repeat is probably good for you to do because at least it familiarizes you with it. And I mean, I got to the point where I was like, oh, I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. And it helps you to retain it in your memory more. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and that is also lucky that, like with the weather that you had, because when we were there, it rained that whole time.
Yeah.
So my experience of crewing was completely different to yours. So much less social because the weather was terrible.
Yeah, if the weather had been terrible, everyone would have been bunkered down.
Yeah, so we took the maps and went into town, into the laundromat to get out of the wet to prepare them. And, so we actually didn't spend a lot of time mingling in the campsite because it was always raining. So
we just did it at the picnic table.
Yeah. Which was my first year experience too. So and so then and it got dark fairly well, like we were still doing maps when it was getting dark.
Yes, the sun started to set at like 8 o'clock or maybe 7:30ish. Yeah, we were still doing maps because you had to make them, and then there were the other bits we had to tape on and all of this convoluted things we had to do to get this map ready to go,
and then put the contact on them. And then everyone was impressed with our huge contact roll.
That's right. Just to go back over that, because they've extended the course this year, the course actually went off.
I don't want to go too much into that though.
But it went off the standard map. So
it was a little extra.
So which is why, which is proof that it was actually a longer course this year.
Yes.
So
the 100 miles is a bit of a we'll see.
I mean, it's been 100 miles since the race started, and the number of books has increased so much since the first time it started. So, I mean, So
so that adds an extra element to the preparing of the maps.
Yes.
So I think that's where Australia holds an advantage in this situation, because it clearly shows that North Americans and Europeans do not contact their books in primary school like we do here in Australia. And I have quite severe imprinted memories of trying to contact my school books on a tiled slate floor, dealing with all the bumps and lumps that were in it, trying to flatten it out. That, you know what, a picnic table and a piece of paper was no match for me. I was a queen. I did it so well.
And because like Kenny pulled out his contact and it was like the size of an A4 sheet.
It was like nothing.
And we're like, and they see our roll that just goes for kilometers, and they're like, oh my God.
I know, like I feel like Kenny had to like ration his. He was like, I'm only going to contact one map. And I'm like, yeah, you only can.
Yeah, that's right. We contacted all of the fellas. Yeah.
And some, because I butchered the first one, but
that's right. Yes. But don't worry, I gave him the contact when we left. So
yes, Kenny will be well prepared for next year now.
That's right. And so we got the maps done. We went to bed, and
that was because I was grateful that we got to go to bed.
Yes, because you were originally going to be staying up all night. That's what I told you.
Yeah, I was originally going to be night watch, which I was fully prepared for. The big plan was to just talk with people and then walk laps of the campground.
And suck down V's or whatever I bought for you, Red Bull or something.
Yeah, just chug the Red Bulls and vibrate and just power walk laps of the campground to stay awake. But thankfully, surprisingly, Marcus stayed awake for us instead.
Yeah, well, he had something due for school.
Yeah, he was doing schoolwork. He had an exam due that night.
Yes.
He was, last minute procrastination had hit. He finally had the how to do this task, and so he took one for the team and he stayed up for all of us.
Which was good. And because you hadn't slept the night before, obviously, because you'd been on the plane.
Yeah, the plane travel got to me. So we'd gone to bed in our humongous tent.
Yes. And we both froze our asses off.
Actually, yeah, we both did. It was quite cold. I think you more so than me.
Oh my God, that airbed.
Want to give us a layer breakdown of what you went to sleep in?
I mean, I have spoken about this on the podcast before, but yes, it was the queen-sized airbed that went down so that I was it was like being inside a bath, like the walls of the bath up beside me.
Like being in a hammock.
Yeah, it was like being in a hammock or something, except my ass was on the ground. My hip was on the ground. It was just the worst.
But
and that was brand new out of the box. I didn't buy it. Larry
I mean, that's a air mattress.
It was brand new.
Yeah.
Those air mattresses.
It was just, it was a cold night. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and putting on my thermals, and then I find out Mum slept in a huge puffy jacket, and I'm like, okay, we're different levels here.
I was already wearing my thermals, and I had to put on my puffy. So
yeah.
And that's my, nearly ankle length. Although your ankle length puffy was the best. That was like putting on a doona.
Oh yeah. My nice huge Canadian, essentially warm sleeping bag I have for our winters here.
Yes. And so what did you think of the start of the race when it finally happened?
Well, I just remember we're waiting around. We've been waiting for so long. Like, it's just like, oh my God, what are we doing? Yeah. It's just taking forever. Kenny has eaten 6,000 calories. Like, we're just like, what are we doing?
We're obsessed with eating calories. Not food, calories.
Like, it was just like, he was like, I've eaten 6,000 calories and the race hasn't even started yet. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell. So much energy. And I just remember, like, we were just there, and all of a sudden there was a change in the air, and I looked up to the fire and I saw movement, and I went, this is it. Something in me knew it, and I was like, this is it. And
all you said, come on, we've got to get up there and see it. I've never seen the conch blown before. So.
It's like, it was like a beehive. All of a sudden, all of our heads turned, looked, saw movement, and we just went, whoomp. And the next thing you know, everyone was there, and he's blowing the conch horn, and it was just like, oh my God, this is it. Like, that is when it sunk in, because I was stood there looking at like the gate with the sign, and he's there with the conch horn, and I hear it, and I was just like, wow, like, this is the Barkley.
That the sign of the conch just gives me the
it gave me chills. It was like, this is it, it's happening now. Like, we've got to do it now. It's on. And I was just like,
we were on a mission after that. And so I got
that was the quickest hour of my life after that as well. Like, everything all of a sudden just happened so quickly.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Because you think an hour, that's heaps of time. No.
Yes, yeah. No, it's not.
So imagine if we'd woken up at 2 a.m. to the conch, because at least by the time the conch blew, I'd had coffee, I'd eaten, I had actually my clothes on for running because I knew it had to be at some point. Whereas if it was 2, you would have to do everything but in the dark.
Yes. Oh yeah. I feel like that would have been a bit of a freak out, but I did make sure, that's why I made sure we were well prepared. I had you segregate everything off. You had a list written. Like, I was like, I am prepared because I was prepared for it to start in the middle of the night. That is fully what I expected in typical Barkley fashion. I was expecting, a 3 a.m. wake up call. It didn't, we didn't get a sleep in, but the anxiety wouldn't let us.
Only because I got so anxious I had to get up.
Yeah, and I was like, we're getting up. We can't sit around. But it would have been a mad rush.
Yeah, it would have been a mad rush. And so then the actual start line with Laz and all that, did you want to talk about that a little bit?
I remember it was happening, and we're walking up to the thing, and you just look at me and I can just see it. You're just like, you're freaking out. Your arms are falling out of you.
I'm so cool, calm and collected.
Like, you just looked at me and you were like, what if I don't do it? And I was like, and you were like, but like, what if it doesn't go well? And I was literally like, and we're here, it's happening. Like, it doesn't matter how much you do. And I do remember saying to you, I was like, we could turn around right now and not even start the race, and I would still be proud of you, because we're here and it's happening. Like, getting into the race is a feat in and of itself. I think competing in it's just kind of like the fun little part you do at the end, because you probably won't really win anything. So it's kind of a bit of fun. And I was like, this is great. I'm having a grand time of my life. Like, yes, go and run or don't run. It is what it is. But I think you should, because you're here, and look around. And it was just, I was just like trying to psych you up for the most insane race ever. And I was standing there thinking, this is stupid. You're kind of crazy for doing this. Why are you going to subject yourself to this torture? But also having to tell you how much, like, I am proud of you and how much I want you to do this race and do well in it. And, I just remember telling you, I was like, I want you to think of nothing less than doing 3 laps. Like, I had very high hopes that you would do 3 laps. I knew that
I hadn't been sick, I had really high hopes too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there could have been still a chance that you didn't, but I was never going to think that because I wanted you to not think that either. So I was like, nope, we're aiming for 3 laps. I want you to only think about aiming for 3 laps. And like, I remember telling you to look around, be aware of your like surroundings, be prepared for this 3rd lap. Like that was all I was thinking about. And so that's what I was just trying to like instill in you, because I could just see the nerves take over. But
they always do on the start line of Barkley.
They do. I know.
I freak out.
I mean, it's fair enough. I would freak out too. Like I was freaking out too, but I couldn't.
Well, you didn't seem it. It was very helpful. You were very calming.
Yes. Oh, I know. And I kind of gave you a bit of a stern talking to and said, get to it. And walked away.
The roles were reversed.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I knew you needed at the time, though. I was like, this is not the time for me to be your daughter. You need someone to tell you what to do and to get in line and go march 100 potentially miles. So have fun. I just kind of gave you a hug and said good luck and left you. And like 10, there was like 5-10 minutes to the start of the race, and it was just, you got to be in the pack and then stand there. And it's like, oh my God, first of all, one of 2 things is happening. I'm seeing Laz and I'm also seeing Santa. This is incredible. In his red jacket and everything. So it was just like, this is happening. And it gives a little speech. And I mean, I was standing behind him, so I didn't even see the cigarette get lit. Really, I just saw a puff of smoke, but I just saw the racers just like staring him down, and then they just go. And it's like, wow, they're off. That's it. Goodbye. I hope to see you soon, basically. And I just remember seeing you go by, and like, I didn't even say anything. And then you got halfway up and I was just like, go Mom. And I was just like, go for it, yelling at you. And I was like, have fun. And then that was it. All of a sudden camp went quiet and everyone kind of just disappeared off, and everyone just kind of knew, we can go do whatever we want for the next 8 hours. And it was a weird feeling of just so much excitement to energy to just nothing. It went quiet.
That's fair.
That's what I remember as well. It's very it is a very bizarre feeling to so much excitement, like energy everywhere,
nerves, excitement,
that nervous energy. Everything's happening, it's all action, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, okay, now what do we do?
Twiddle our thumbs.
That was exactly what it was. It was just kind of like, we went, all right, and we just kind of went back, and I just kind of sat down and I was like, well, what do I do? I
went back and climbed into bed because I hadn't slept all night. But
because Ron had stayed up all night.
I just climbed into bed. But then I was so hyped up by everything that had been happening that I couldn't, no matter how, I hadn't been to sleep all night, but I couldn't sleep.
So, I mean, it was midday. I was like, well, this is, I don't know what to do. So, I mean, I took a walk down and got some reception and just scrolled the internet for a bit and told people that we were alive, and did that for a bit and went back and read my book. And it was just, it became the time of waiting essentially. And it was just quiet, fell among the camp. People played games, read books. Like I did a lot of people watching. I was just sat there and I had quite a nice view of the campground. It was just people watching.
It's a good spot because I get the same. I like to get the same campground every time.
It's a good one.
Really central.
It's right in the middle, basically. It's
and you have this nice view of the valley a bit, and just sat there and watched. And you could see basically the fire from where I was sat, and it was just and just people would walk by when they were going to the toilets or whatever, and would come in and say hello and. Say, if they had seen anything or heard anything, they would share it, and vice versa. It was kind of just like you would tell people what you knew as you saw them, even if you didn't know who that person was. You just informed them of the going-ons that you knew about the race, because it was just like, it's a waiting game now. We don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen, truly.
Yes. And so did you see the first people come through, which would have been John Kelly and all those? Yeah. I was just lying, like I had been reading my book for quite a while, had a little bit of a nap in the sunshine. It was lovely weather, blue sky, sunshine. Right. Yeah, it was really nice.
And I just remember thinking about you running out there, and you could just hear kind of like, and like these yells coming up from the valley of cheers as it slowly got like louder and louder because they were coming up. And it just was kind of like, oh my God, they're coming. And all, you know, you all came up and you stood up by the road, and it was just like, all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, and all the things came up and the excitement, and you just see them come bobbling along, little head torches. And it was,
no, but it was, because was it head torches even when the first people came through? Of course it would have been.
It was dark. Because it was, but I remember it was also like, because they came in quite a lot later than expected, so there was a feeling around the camp of just like, they're not here yet. Every time someone walked by, has someone come in yet? No one's come in yet. We don't
because
know
it's normally about 8.5 hours, but it was like 9.5, close to 10 hours, wasn't it?
So it started to get darkish. And it was just like, there was this feeling around camp of like, something's happened, or just the Barkley is happening, and it is doing its thing truly, and it's taking this much longer. And so there was this feeling in camp. And then when they came, and it was just like, okay, this is happening now. We knew that this kind of meant the next, you know, couple of hours, it's going to be a sensation of go, go, go. And people set up camps at like the end of the driveways. You know, they had their chairs and were sitting there chatting to other people, so that every time someone could come by, you would be cheering them on the front lines. And it just, became a couple of hours of just this feeling of excitement for every person that came in. And it was, I was just sitting in the campground, and, you know, every now and again you'd hear someone yell runner, and then all these cheers coming up as someone, you know, trudges into camp. And then, you know, all of a sudden there's like 4 people that just come bolting into camp, and they're doing stuff, and there's all this frenzy for a few minutes, and then kerfuffle, and then the person's off, or they come in, and then there's, you know, it's kind of like an, oh, you're here, and then taps blows, and you're like, all right, that's the first has fallen.
There was a lot of taps, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. But I remember hearing the first taps, and it was just like, yep, the first has fallen. This is it. It's happening. But it just became this waiting game. And then it got to the point where you hadn't come in yet, and the waiting game got serious. And I mean, it got to like, I had a plan. I was like, at like 11:30, I was going to start making you food and have your coffee ready. I like had a bin set up, and I put everything in it. I wrapped your food in like my big jacket so that we could throw my jacket on you, but then the food would be warm. Like, I was prepared, game plan. Like, I was ready to hear you coming, and just to be like, all right, we have 10 minutes to do this. You have to be like prepared. So I was just like, she's coming. We've got to do it. I was so excited. And then, you know, the minutes and the hours tick by, and it's like, you're still not here. You're still not here. And like, I had brought all the stuff up to the finish line. Like, I was so ready and excited. It was just like, you're still not here. And it got to like 2 a.m. and I was like, fuck, I'm tired. Because by this point I was like, she's going to be here and I'm going to be going to bed. This is going to be great. I was like, I'm kind of not mad the race started this time, because it quite lined up well for my sleep schedule. This would be good. And you weren't here, and it was just like, wow, okay. So by like 2 a.m. I was starting to get tired, but I didn't want to quite kind of go to bed just yet. So I kind of set up camp on top of the picnic table. I kicked everything off the table, and I put my sleeping mat up there, and I crawled onto my sleeping bag, and just like listened to music and laid there and like watched the stars, and just waited for you to come in, and just was so ready for it. And then it was like 4 a.m. and you still hadn't come in. And I mean, we're going on like hour 17-ish here by this point, and we had hoped you'd been in by about hour 12-ish.
I know.
And I mean, you were well by the cutoff time, but it was just like, she's late. Quite late. This is a little concerning. But I hadn't heard anything bad. Like, no one had said someone injured or whatever, because the communication in the camp was still ongoing. And every time someone walked past, is your mum in? No, she's not. But no one else is. Like, I don't know what's happening. And it was just, and I remember just before the cutoff time, I know we're backtracking a little here, but just before the cutoff time, there was one runner who came in who was the French guy.
Julien. That was Julien.
Who came in literally minutes before, and it was just like running, and it was like this frantic energy of like, they've made it before the cutoff time, trying to get them out quickly. And I remember sitting there going, oh, I hope you come. I mean, even if it's only a minute, like, we could try, we can do it. But then, yeah, it was hour 17 and I was like, all right, whenever you come in and it's just, now this is a rescue mission essentially. And that's fine. So I brought the tub back and I was just like, I'll get bed ready and just, we'll be good to go when you come in. And then I got into bed. Actually, by this point I was like, you know what, I don't know when you're coming in, I'm tired. And so I got into the tent and I was like, just before I go to sleep, I'm gonna go to the toilet, I have to pee. And I was like, I feel bad about just going to bed. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to the toilet. I'm going to go up and sleep by the campfire like Marcus did on the night that he stayed up. Because if you come in, I'm right there. So this was a plan. Go to the toilet, go to the campfire, wait for Mum. Have my drink bottle, have my book ready to go. And I'm in the toilets and I'm peeing and there's this girl that's in the showers and she's like, you haven't seen your mum yet? And I'm like, no, she hasn't come in. And she's like, I saw her like hours ago. She should be back by now. She should have been back hours ago, honestly, from where we saw her. And I was like, what do you mean she was meant to be back hours ago?
Well, I should have been back 5 hours before. Yeah.
And she was telling me where she last saw her, but she was like, she was looking good. She was doing fine. And I was just like, okay. And I go to leave the bathroom. I take like 3 steps and I just hear, she's here. Your mum's here. And I was like, oh my God, she's here. And I just remember running back to camp and kind of like panicking, going, I don't know what I need to grab. And I took my jacket because I was like, maybe you'll be cold. So I got my huge jacket and I ran up to camp and you were there. Yeah, you were finally there. And I was like, I was sad that I missed seeing you run in, but I was also so happy that you were just there and you were alive. In one piece. You weren't like bleeding massively or limping or like, you were definitely disheveled and a mess, but you weren't falling apart.
No.
And it was just, watched you get tapped out and it was just like, you're here. And I've never loved particularly hugging sweaty, dirty you after a race. It is quite gross, but this time I was like, I don't care.
Well, I needed a hug, don't worry.
Yeah. And it was just, all of a sudden it was over then as well. Yeah. Like it went so quickly of all these changes and emotions that all of a sudden, the Barkley was now over for us.
Yes.
And it was just, okay, all right, rest, recuperate, figure out what the hell happened on this race and wait for the others now.
Yes, and that's what it was. And the next day we just sat around in the sunshine waiting for other people.
Yeah,
and it was fun.
But I just remember getting you back to camp and I was like, you know what would feel lovely right now? Let's get you in a hot shower. Yes. You're covered in scratches. You were like, I'm not that dirty. And I'm like, Mum, you have like changed colors. You are dirty. Like I
didn't think I was that dirty.
You could see the dusting of it on you. I was like, you need to have a shower. And you're also like cut up to hell and back. And I was like, you know what, I feel great. A lovely hot shower. Someone was just in the shower. I could tell that water was hot because I felt the steam in the bathroom. This will be glorious. Rinse you off. We get in there. No hot water.
Like it was stone motherless cold. Yeah. Like it wasn't just like lukewarm, it was cold.
No, it was only cold. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But also I was like, I'm even more sorry because you're not getting out until you wash yourself with soap. Like, I'm sorry. And I made her kind of stand there and do a bit of the pits and things rub and wash down all the cuts and stuff. But I was like, you have open wounds and a lot of dirt, and also if you get into your sleeping bag with all of this on you, it's going to be like sleeping in sandpaper, and you don't need that right now.
No.
So I was like, I'm sorry, you're not getting out of the shower, you get your soap. So
I know you were like, and I was like,
and I made you sit down and eat some food. I was like, you're not doing anything. Have a few mouthfuls. Like you don't have to finish it. I want you to eat something before we go to bed. And then we finally crawled into bed. And thankfully
you put the polysporin all over my legs.
Yes, I had to stand there and put polysporin all over your legs, just front and back, inside out. So you were just cut up to hell and back. And I remember going, this out, like, ouch, this has to hurt. And just thankfully that night it was a warmer night than the night before, so it wasn't that cold. We could get into bed and it was quite comfortable, somewhat that night. And just we kind of lied there for about an hour. Well, not an hour, I want to say like 20, 30 minutes and talked a little bit. Because it was just the brain was too awake by that point. I mean, I was exhausted. I had been awake. This is it's 5 a.m. at this point. exhausted, like absolutely pooped, but also just like, holy shit, the Barkley just happened. Like, what did you do? What was it like? What happened?
Yes. Yeah.
If you're alive, I can't believe it. And so, yeah, we talked for a little bit, and then, yeah, we slept for really only a couple of hours.
Yes, it wasn't long.
And then, yeah, you were awake and at it again. And I was like, all right, this is this is what we're doing. This is fine. Yeah. So we got up, and it was just like, yeah, a couple more people had filtered in that couple of hours that we'd slept, but
not still, many.
No,
people
there was
were
still
just taking so long.
There was still quite a few people out there, and just no one knew anything. People were just taking a very, very long time to do the race, and it was just like, this is grueling. They have really upped the stakes, and it was just like, this is an intense one this year.
Yeah, very much
and by this point, obviously Ole had come in because he was with you. So the only person we were missing from our little section of the campground was Kenny, who, you know, he was bargaining for that 5 laps, which is a huge goal to try to achieve. But, you know, I think 3 laps for a starter. But he was aiming for 5 laps. He was so excited about it. And I mean, that was what I was prepared for. I was prepared for having Kenny come in and be like, what do you need? Let's do it. Try to get you out for your 5 laps. That is what I was also hoping for him. But there'd been nothing. No one had seen him. No one had heard from him. No one knew where he was. There was just nothing. And it was like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know where he is. Like,
it was a bit nerve-wracking, wasn't it?
It was a little bit scary, because it got to the point where it was like, we're looking at, you know, he's been out for 20 hours. We haven't heard anything. He's been out for 23 hours. We haven't heard anything. He's been out for 25 hours. We haven't heard anything. Like, it was just this like ticking time bomb of like, where is he? What is going on? Where are all these other races? Like, what is truly taking so long? Because I think a lot of the people that were coming in, because I think only like 9 people made it to the second loop. So a lot of people that came in didn't even finish their first loop. They got to a certain point and went, nah, I'm done. And so it was like, are these people continuing on the loop? Is this truly how long it's taking? Is this them quitting and just struggling to get back? Like, you had no idea what was happening. And so it just became, again, another day of a waiting game. And we just sat around.
Because we were going to be going to Knoxville that day, but we didn't want to leave until Kenny came in.
Yes, there was going to be a weather change that evening that meant a lot of rain and wind. And I looked at Mum and I went, Mum, you don't like camping. We're in a tent. Can we get a nice hotel for the night? Because I don't want to sleep here in this particularly.
Neither do I. I definitely want a hotel.
We had made plans to head back to Knoxville and grab a hotel before flights the next day. But we didn't want to leave until Kenny had come in, because, you know, we'd made friends with him, but also where the hell was this kid? And so it just, we waited around, sat around, chatted with the other friends that we had made, and shared horror stories of their loops. And then watched the other people slowly filter in, and we saw the 3 boys do their kind of turnaround before they went out for their 3rd lap.
Right. That was Tomo, Sebastian, and John Kelly.
Just the hobblings and
poor Sebastian, who was crying when he came in, and crying as he left.
It was a lot of just like, I was just sitting there and just being like, you guys are crazy. Like, this is torture on another level. But also like, I hope you get out there and you do this 3rd lap, because I can tell that this is truly what you want, because you are shoveling like past it into your mouth like no man's business, while someone's doing all these other things to you. Like, they were trying so much. So we were just waiting around. And then the next thing you know, Kenny, he's here. He's at the bottom of the driveway to the campground, and it was like, oh my God. And he was there for 27 hours, or like 27 and a half hours. He was out for a long time.
And it was, and as it was, one of the books they didn't get. So and
it was just like, this is an insane race that someone has gone out and done this. And he comes all in bundles of sunshine and smiles and cheers and energy as well. And it was just like, oh my. And so that was kind of the time where we conceded, and we were like, we're packing up after this and heading home. But it was sad, because it was like, this is it. It's over as quickly as it started almost.
I know, it's very strange, and it's like a whole different, it's like being in a different world when you're there, like this different insulated
it absolutely
world.
Was, because it was also just like this world of these select few people that knew about this one thing that meant they were in this kind of little subsect of the world that interacted with only these other people. So we were all just like this one little hive mind for a few days. And it was a really interesting environment to just be like, how did you hear about this race? Where did you learn it from? Where did you come from? Where do you live? Like, what do you do for a job? Because everyone came from all these varying different backgrounds. Like, it was such a mixing pot of all these completely different things. And it was just a very interesting community to be around. And it was like, oh, this is it. Goodbye.
Yeah. And then you just kind of go off and
it kind of like rolls in like a wave and then just rolls back out again. And then, it's very quick.
And then you go back to being just normal, boring people again.
Yeah. All of a sudden we're like gross walking around town, but no one knew what we were out doing in the bush for a few days. No one knew that this ridiculous race was going on only a few miles from their door. It was just, we went and did it and no one really knew about it. But I remember like leaving camp and just being like, this is it. It's over.
Yeah.
Done.
I know, it's kind of sad. And all that anticipation before it, because we've been talking for months and planning and plotting and then it's all over and it's like, oh.
Yeah. And like I'd
be go to Applebee's for dinner.
Oh. Yeah. Or we picked from this strip of restaurants.
And that was like the least gross one.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, either that or like Sonic or McDonald's.
Yeah, no, we weren't doing that. We weren't doing that.
Yeah.
Which was the walk that we did as well.
Yeah, we went to Applebee's.
You got a choice, and Applebee's is kind of at the end, but you just go, nah, don't want that. Nah, don't want that.
Yeah.
Oh, this will have to do it.
Yeah, at least it actually has meals as opposed to just
burgers and chips.
Yeah. We needed a vegetable after that, I think.
Yes, we did. We did need a vegetable and a good steak, which we had.
Yeah. And, but I just remember, like, I was, it's like that sensation when you've been at the beach after a long day and you go get fish and chips.
Yeah.
Like I was tired and exhausted and sunburnt and like I just had a nice clean shower.
Because you were sunburnt, yes.
Yeah, I was sunburned to hell and back. It was bad. Don't fall asleep in the sun, kids. Should learn that as an Australian, but forgot that temporarily, clearly. And I was just like, had freshly washed all the grossness off me in a nice hot shower. And I was just like, sat down at Applebee's and it was like,
yeah, the relief.
The relief. I'm clean. It's over. It's done. That was so much fun, but it's done.
Yeah. And you were already saying to me, you've got to enter for next year.
Oh, yeah. You were already like, I'm like, yeah, but you can do it again. Like, you could. What's the worst that'll happen? Like, it'll be fun. Yeah.
I mean, I just have to get let in again. That's the issue. We'll see. You
don't have to call that an issue. That's fine.
she reckons she's in the know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You've
spoken to the important people, and it's all sorted.
Yeah, it's fine. You've got a spot. You don't have to worry about
it. Well, let's hope you're right. Yeah. I mean, I just had the best time, and like certainly for me, once I got home, I mean, admittedly, I hadn't been 100% well, but it took me. How many weeks has it been now? 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
But it took 2 weeks. I got a little bit almost not depressed, but sort of post-race blues of being back, and everything's normal and boring, and it's like it was just so exciting.
Yeah.
And then everything else by comparison just feels so boring.
I know it was for a few weeks of the lead up, it was kind of all consuming. Like
people
at work knew that I was going to America and they're like, what are you doing? And so I'm telling them about this race and they're like, what the hell is this thing? Oh my God. And they're Googling it. And, a couple of them watched the documentaries and were like, what on earth are you going to do? And it was just became this like excitement of like, oh my God, I hope your mum does this incredible race and it's just going to be so exciting. And then it was like, whoomp, it's over.
Yeah. It's a weird feeling, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But it was fun because it was like, I've done it now. Like that is, tick that one off the bucket list.
Yeah,
it's
that's
done.
right.
That
and
was
you got a photo with Laz, and isn't he lovely?
Oh, I loved Laz. He was awesome.
He's such a nice guy.
Friendly old grandpa, basically.
Well, but you think about the course he made, so I don't know.
But I think that's who he is. He's a hillbilly from Tennessee. That's what you
but then
expect.
That's just everyone from Tennessee. I love
I think
the people from Tennessee. Like they're a bit different, but they're awesome.
Oh yeah, there was a really, really cool community that they have there for this race.
Yeah,
and everyone
absolutely.
that's been involved in it over the years. It was cool.
Yep. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I do get in next year because Elizabeth wants to crew again.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ron.
Put on the back burner again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get all the other ones. Let me, you're going to Scotland. Let me have this, please.
Yeah. I get to experience all the training and the angst and everything leading up to it.
I just get the payoff. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you so much, not only for crewing for me, and sharing it, because it really was special for me. Like it meant so much to me having you there. It was just such a special moment. And, because often we don't get to do these kind of things with our children, or you with your parents. Like I certainly never did anything like that with my parents. And I think it's just awesome to see each other in a different element, like.
Yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. And like I've crewed for you many times before, and that was just kind of like going away for a weekend with mum. But this one I was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
When you used to crew, you were kind of
in it.
Yeah, there's not as much to do. There's not as much responsibility, is there?
Yeah. So, because I was much more of a child then, but this one I was all in for it. And so I've never been so excited to crew for you.
We needed a grown up, and you were the grown up.
I was indeed. Yeah. I put my foot down.
Yeah, no, but it was great. It was really good. It was just what I needed. But because you know me so well, you know exactly how to do it, not in a way that's helpful, but not overbearing, and not, like you kind of have to be a bit bossy, even though I'm your mum,
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I knew the kind of hats I had to put on at what point in times to kick your ass, but not to be mean to you, to make you angry at me, just kind of uncrumble it all. So it was like, keep pushing you in the right ways the entire time.
Yeah. And that's really important in a crew. All righty, so thank you for crewing for me, and thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm sure everybody will have found that really interesting, because it is interesting to hear it from a different perspective, and because I'm not there in the campground, I don't know what's going on. So thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
Of course. I'm happy to share my story.
Yeah.
All righty, and we will catch everyone who is listening again later. Oh, golly gosh.
What's going on?
Thanks for joining us.
That's why I'm never in control of things.